Hi you guys, welcome to the Rubber Room. It's me, Chris Colley. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Rochester Hills, Michigan. And usually I go live on Tuesdays at lunchtime. Yesterday our son was here. He came in from Washington to go to a Red Wings game with my husband and my other son. And so he was supposed to fly out yesterday and just kept having delays, and I guess there was a lot going on at the airport because our president was in town, and so lots of things were happening, and I got to spend a little bit more extra time with them, so I missed doing my live yesterday, but I'm here tonight, so I'm going to share making sure I'm going live here. It looks like I'm sideways. So let's see if I can switch my camera around and see if that will help. There we go. Okay. Let's see if we can get you straight. Lots of little things happening here today. So this is my Embrace the Exclusive class that I did. That's a new class for us. We have online exclusives which are being introduced every other month now, which is exciting, and I love having new products to share with you guys all the time, but they are not in any catalog. So that means that you have to actually go onto our website to view them. So I decided that every other month I'm going to be doing a class called Embrace the Exclusives, which is just a class where we're going to focus on the online exclusives. So to give you a little idea, these are our November product list, and you can go onto our website and see all of these. If you shop my store at rubberroom.stampinup.net, you can just punch in online exclusives, and all of the online exclusives that are available will come up for you. So you can see we have suites, we have bundles, we have accessories, gorgeous papers. This is one of the products we're going to be using tonight. This is called the Hobby Haven Suite, and we're going to be using some of the gorgeous designer series paper from that suite. Let's see what else. We're also going to be using the banner punch and the banner sayings, which are beautiful. And this one is probably my favorite product from this particular set, which is the Friendly Foliage, and I'm in love with those dies. So there's also a background stamp in here that I just love that we're going to use. We're going to use the Swirled Designs. My last class I did was with the Valentine Kisses bundle, and I did not use it as Valentine's. So in fact, I paired it with our Easter paper. So it had lovely pastels in it, which were gorgeous. So you can see lots and lots of products in each offering, and our new January ones you can order now, and they're just as beautiful. So I urge you to pop on our website, check out the online exclusives, and you can join my Embrace the Exclusive class next time around. Some of you purchased that class to go, and for those of you that purchased it, this will be your little kind of walkthrough that you can refer to see how to put your cards together. So we're going to start off with cards from this designer series paper, and this is the Hobby Haven paper, and you can see it has all different kinds of hobbies on it. And they're hobbies on one side and then kind of just prints on the other, which makes it really easy to coordinate them together. I got some scraps here we'll get out of the way. And you can see I've taken some little pieces out of mine, but you get 2 each of each design. And this one's just kind of like a home decor. So you can see lots of chairs and plants and fun things on there. This one is all sewing. So if you're a sewer or a knitter, this one's for you. They have a little iron on there and some yarn and some twine and ribbon, sewing machine, a little tape measure. Just gorgeous, and I love these colors. And then it's just designs on the back, which I think is so pretty. This one is all books. There's a little book light and a little lamp, some reading glasses, a little bookmark. I love books and bookmarks. I have a favorite bookmark, thanks to my friend Cece, who got me a bookmark when she was traveling and brought it back to me. In fact, I was at the library this afternoon for a little bit. And then they have this kind of looks like splattered rocks to me on the back. And this one is all kitchen stuff. So if you're a cook or a chef or you know someone, even someone that's a barista or likes coffee, there's a little bundt pan there, some measuring cups, a blender, all kinds of fun stuff. And this is actually the paper we'll be using for our card today. And then again, there's the other book. And then this one is all self-care. So little spa day, which would be perfect to do like a card for a gift certificate for a spa. And then on the back of it is this, which is just kind of a rainbow splattering, almost like a watercolor look, which is just beautiful. And then we have punch outs. So I like to take my punch outs and put them in an empty designer series paper pack, just so I can see what I have there and what's available to me. Sometimes I'll have to put a little post-it tape on the back of them to keep them in place, but usually I can get them out in here and store them a little bit. You can see some of them I've already used, but this is a great tag piece here and a little mixer. So these are just like little punch outs that are kind of cardboardy, and they're great additions to a card. And for our card, we are going to be using some thick, here, if you ordered this class to go, this is how yours is going to come. I did have another piece of ribbon here. I'm sure I will find it in a minute. There we go. So your card will come packed in an envelope with all of these pieces. This piece is a thick white cardstock, and it is cut at 5.5 by 8.5 and scored on that 4 1/4 mark. And we're just going to fold it on our score line. Come in with our bone folder. I got a new bone folder for World Card Making Day this year. Just love it. Nice and fresh and clean. And then you have a 5 1/4 by 4 piece of designer series paper. And I'm just going to, in this one, you could use either side of the paper. Sometimes that is like the hardest part of a card, is choosing which side of the paper to use. But I'm going to use this side for today. I do have to just lift it a little bit so I can see where it's going to go and get it as straight as I can. And I think that's pretty straight. You're going to have a little piece like this, which is 3/4 inch by 5 1/4. And that's going to be the inside of our card. So again, I'm just going to add a little bit of my Stampin' Seal to it. And I'm going to kind of center that at the bottom so it has a little bit of that weight margin equally all the way around it, okay? And I'm just realizing I should have put my ribbon on there. So here's a little trick for you. In order to get your paper up, you need to apply a little bit of heat. I'm just going to lift it at that corner and go about maybe let's see, an inch up. And put my ribbon in. And I do the same thing over here. And if your paper isn't lifting easily, just breathe on it a little bit. And that hot air will moisten your adhesive and you can peel it up a little bit. My husband says that's a very good use of my hot air. And he's right. It's an excellent use of my hot air. Save the front of my card. How about that? Okay. And then I have a circle. And you also, this is our new vellum. If you guys haven't tried our vellum, you're going to fall in love with it. And I've also used the Glass and Gardens embossing folder on it. And I am going to put that down with some just Stampin' Seal. I'm going to put this part down at the bottom, but you can, whatever part you want. And I'm going to go ahead and put it on with adhesive because I'm going to be covering it up. So I'm just going to put adhesive where I know I'm going to be covering it up. So it'll kind of come up like this, which is going to give your card a lot of texture to it. Okay? And then I've cut out a little circle. These are our circle punches. This is the Designer Series paper. I'm going to use some dimensionals with this. And we have dimensionals in all different sizes. This one, this little packet here, comes from our paper pumpkin kits or the other kits that we offer. So you're going to get some dimensionals like that are a certain thickness. And then we have mini dimensionals. This one is an adhesive sheet, and it comes just like that in that kind of rectangle. And it's a different thickness. And then these are regular dimensionals. Again, a different thickness. And I don't seem to have a mini dimensional in here, but I think I can find one easily. We also have these, which are foam strips, which are still a different thickness. But all of those different thickness in there give you lots of different choices for dimension. So let's go with these mini ones. I'm going to use these mini ones on here. And I'm just going to put some around my circle. And there's no such thing as too many dimensionals. We want to be sure that we have enough support so that like the middle of our circle isn't sinking down because it doesn't have any dimensionals on it. So we're just going to add dimensionals. I'm going to do 5 of them. And this on. There's my little trash can. I'll try to do this without getting my desk all trashed up. These backs from these dimensionals, I will tell you, seem to find their way everywhere. Even when I'm sure to toss them while I'm using them, they're going to find their way upstairs. I know it. Okay, so I'm going to put that on. And then you will also have in your kit these little punch outs. Those are the punch outs I was telling you about. And I have chosen these two. So I have a little coffee cup and a mug. Okay, I'm going to put these on with regular dimensionals. And that's these ones. These ones are a little bit bigger, but they don't have as much of a height to them. So I'm going to put my coffee cup on first. Right about, let's see where I want to go with it. I think I'm going to go over to the side a little bit more. There we go. And then I'm just going to put my tea bag on with a little stamp Stampin' Seal. And then I'm going to put a dimensional right behind the little paper-like marker, because that's going to go up above my coffee cup. And I want it to be the same height as my coffee cup. So I'm going to actually put a regular one on there. And then I'm going to add a mini one, because if you remember, we added a mini behind the circle and a regular behind there. So I want them to be the same height. Seriously, I'm not even leaving my desk and already losing stuff. And I'm just going to stack them one on top of the other here. So just like that. And I'm going to put it kind of at a little angle. Okay. And I'm going to add my sentiment. And this is a banner that I cut from my banner punch. So we have a triple banner punch that goes with some banner sayings. I don't think I brought them over here, but they are in our catalog. I think they're in the mini catalog. They could be online exclusives. I have a hard time keeping track sometimes, so. But it's really a cool punch because it does punch 3 different banners, which is always kind of nice to have some options. And I'm using some garden green, and the sentiment says, I can't thank you enough. Okay. And I'm just going to add some Stampin' Seal to that. And put it right in. I'm just going to cover up the bottom there. Maybe not too much. I'm going to go about there. Actually, I'm going to tuck it. I want to tuck it under or put it on top. I think I'm going to leave it right there. And I'm going to stick a dimensional behind it. And that will lift it up. Wow. Put it right on my tape there. That's going to lift it up. So it's going to be the same level as that coffee cup. I'm going to have some little gems. These are from a pack that went with the Jolly Delivery stamp set in our mini catalog. So I'm just going to take and kind of spread these out. I did 1 big one and 2 tiny ones. I'm just going to kind of lay them all on there. Just a tad up. Here we go. And then I've cut another piece of ribbon. I love this ribbon. I'm going to soften it up with my bone folder. It's kind of a wider width, and I kind of like that. It's more like a cottony material. Got a little bit of static cling to it here. Okay, so I'm just going to flip it under there and nuts tight here, and then I'm just going to do some bunny ear bows. Whenever you tie a knot like that, you're able to move it after you're done. So I'm going to go ahead and tie my bow, and then if I need to move it closer or farther away, I can do that after I've got my bow all how I want it. And I'm kind of fussy with my bows. I knew that was going to happen, right? Okay, let me grab some glue dots. My ribbon came up from under my DSP here, so I'm gonna go ahead and add some extra tape under there. going to put a glue dot on the bottom of that piece. And then it will stay for sure, right? Sometimes you just have to be a little creative about. There we go. I think that's gonna do it. Okay, so let's get back to the bow now that we've got that going on there. Okay. And I think that's gonna do it, right? I do like that you can move that bow if you need to. There we go. Make it just a tad shorter there. Okay, so that's our first one. And again, if you've taken it from this one, I did the little fancy bows at the end there. So this is going to be our first card. And we did that just with Designer Series paper mostly. And then this one, we're going to use these swirled designs. These have some dies that match them, and they are amazing. The dies have stars and flowers. They're really, really cool. But we are going to be using these. Here we go. Okay, we'll get rid of that. And again, if you have, we're going to be using just the stamps and not the dies. I didn't finish that sentence, did I? So if you've ordered the to-go kit, these are the pieces. I move these a little bit out of my way so I can not hopefully trash the entire desk and still find things. So these are going to be the contents of your envelope. And we're going to be using the flowers that come with this. I don't know why I didn't have my stamp set over here. I've taken a piece of white twine. I colored it with my gorgeous grape marker. And then I have taken the dies. And of course, I don't know why I didn't cut mine. And I didn't bring them with me. So hold on 1 second. I am going to go and grab them. If you have a kit for this, your dies are going to be cut out already. But hold on 1 second, and I'll cut mine. This always happens to me. No matter how much time I take getting ready, I always seem to miss something, right? But while I was there, I grabbed my banner punch. So you can see this banner punch has 3 different banners that you can do. So it's great for a lot of different size things. And there is a matching or coordinating stamp that goes with it, full of sentiments that are wonderful. Okay, so we're going to do the flower from this set. And as I said, if you got the to-go package, your dies are, your 3 little pieces like this are already cut, and they do have sticky paper on the back of them. And these are the dies that coordinate with this set. So you have this great rectangle and 3 little flowers up here. There's some stars, lots of stars, and then there's some ovals, some flowers. They're just amazing. And the cards that you can do with them, oh, tons and tons of options. In the stamp set, I just showed you, but it coordinates with lots of different shapes. So it's a little bit more artsy, but you have the little flowers and the stars. And so we're going to use some of those little kind of artsy pieces to make a background with. And we're going to actually be using this little flower. I think it looks kind of tulipy, but not, I mean, it's not a tulip. It just kind of has that feel to it. All right, so we're going to use a 1, a 2, and a 2 as our cutting plate. And this does fit our little machine. And when you're doing this, you do want to stack them so that they have the E or the 3 look. So you can see what I mean by that right here. So that's the way it's gonna go through the machine the best. So I am going to actually cut the green, the white, and the gorgeous grape. And they are in sticky paper. I'm gonna flip this around so it's easier for me to get through here. And I always put my hand on the top so that I have a little bit more stability for my machine to kind of hold it in place. I'm going to be careful when I take them out that they all are going to stay on my paper and not come out with my die. Okay, so if you've got the class to go, you have these papers that look like this. You have the Garden Green, the Highland Heather, and the Basic White. And I'm just gonna quickly cut these other 2. And you'll see what we're gonna do. We're gonna kind of do like a piece of work to make this really pretty flower on this card. And again, I want to, when I take them out, make sure all of the little pieces stay in there. And one more. Get it going through there. These are some nice spring colors. For some reason, when I think about spring, I think about florals and pastels and pinks and purples. Not that it's like a spring day here. I'm gonna just fold this up. I'm gonna set it on the floor actually, because we're gonna be using it again in just a minute. It is like horrendous here. My husband had to be in court today, and he had a little bit of a rough time getting home. Okay, so we have all of our colors now. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take out the pieces. I think I'm gonna start with the green. So I'm gonna use there's my take your pick tool here. And I'm gonna punch, not gonna punch, I'm just gonna lift out these pieces that I want to be green. Okay. And then I'm going to take these green pieces and I'm going to put those right inside there. So I'm going to need a little piece of Scotch tape. There we go. And I'm just going to put this piece of Scotch tape on the back of my flower. I'm going to just kind of tape it in there still because I want a little bit of a base to hold it in to work with there. Open, I can see one of my purple ones popped out there. Okay, so now I'm going to take my green pieces and lay those in there. Actually, I'm going to put a little more tape across that bottom because I do have it on sticky paper. So I want these pieces, as I'm taking them out, I want them to stick right in there. And because they are on sticky paper, they'll stick right to my Scotch tape. Okay? And this is the only part that's a little bit fussy about this. But I love the look that it gives you. So I think the fussy part is okay. It's kind of like, I don't know what you would even call it. Paper piecing, I think is what you would call it. So we're just going to take these little paper pieces and kind of push them right in there. I think it gives it such a cool look. Come back and get that one. There we go. There we go. And you take your pick tool, just kind of hangs on to it a little bit. And that one will just push up in there. There we go. And then we have these two little leaf pieces right there. So if you ordered this one to go, you definitely want to have some Scotch tape and your take your pick tool for this one. Oh, it's stuck right to my finger. I don't know about you guys, have you been having a good first part of the year? I've been having a hard time kind of getting back in the swing. Our grandkids were here for almost 10 days. And my son and my daughter-in-law, and it was just a house full for many days. And oh my gosh, the food and the dishes, I was amazed. You know, my husband and I are usually here doing meals alone, so the amount of food and they're soda drinkers. We don't drink pop, so they're Faygo guys actually, and that's kind of fun. Some of you that aren't in Michigan probably don't know about Faygo. It is a made in Michigan product, and these guys kind of grew up on it. Lots of things from Detroit that when Andrew comes home, we like to do. And it's Coney sauce and ginger ale or Werner. So they're kind of really big. I'm just going to put some more tape up here. Detroit, made in Detroit, guys. So, and he came back, actually, Andrew came back after Christmas. To go to a hockey game. If you're from Detroit, you also know about the Red Wings, and my guys grew up on the Red Wings and hockey, and Hockey Town, and years of season tickets to Joe Louis, and so they were retiring Sergei Fedorov's number, and so they came back. We got tickets for everybody for Christmas. Not everybody, the 3 boys. I include my husband as a boy there. There we go. So that's what he came back for, and it seemed like he was just gone. But, you know, when he comes in with his wife and his kids, whom I love dearly and love spending time with, they're lots of fun. But we got to spend a little time just with Andrew, which was kind of nice. It was a little quieter pace. Did some shopping in downtown Rochester, and so I got to take him to my favorite bookstore downtown, and we enjoyed that. And Home Bakery, we always, when the kids were growing up, they got their birthday cakes from the Home Bakery, so we went down there, and she has a beautiful lion's cake in the windows, so we spent some time down there. It was just good to have him home and catch up and not have an agenda where we were gone all day. And boy, this little takes a little bit of time here, but it's going to be worth it. As you can see it coming together here, right? It's gorgeous. And everything fits right in there, which is nice. At any rate, I hope you guys are having a good first 2 weeks of the year. We don't even have our Christmas decorations down and put away yet, but they will get there. I'm going to peel the backing off this one. We actually, I think, are going to be doing that this weekend. So many things that are like out of your control are happening, so. And sometimes that's a bonus. Today, though, the thing that was out of your control was the snow. We were just supposed to get like a little dusting of snow. And I think when I came down here, we had about almost 3 inches. So that's more than a little dusting. And it's that heavy wet snow because it is so warm out. So it just is kind of melting almost as it's coming down. Okay, there we go. Our little labor of love, right? So I have, let's get back to work here. I'll quit chatting away. We're going to do some stamping. I think this is going to go on the inside of our card. So let's stamp on it. I'm going to be using some gorgeous grape. And I'm going to use these 2 stamps, which both came from this stamp set. And I am going to do a little stamp off. I'll stamp on my envelope, actually. So I'm just going to do that on my little envelope here. And then I'm going to do it on the inside of my card. And then I'm going to do it on my other envelope because I actually have 2 cards here. And I'll do it on the other side of this one. What the heck? Okay, and we're going to put it on the back of this little piece here. And then I'm going to take, in full strength, just to add these little dots to it. And that's going to give it just kind of a real fun little background look for us. Wipe that off my little glass mat before I get something else in it. And let's go ahead and stamp our sentiment while we have it. I have another one of our cool little banners already punched out. So I'm going to stamp that in this gorgeous grape as well. And I find that if I go ahead and line my little banner piece up straight, it's easier for me to be able to stamp my sentiment straight on it. So if you're using grid paper and or your glass mat, that's a good, easy way to get it lined up there. And I'm going to, I have a piece here that, I'm try and get some of this mess out of the way. We'll get these things, we're just going to set them aside. I have this piece of basic white here that I have embossed. If you can see the embossing on it, it's almost like little flowers on there. So I'm going to take my marker and I'm just going to add some color to it. So you can tap it like this if you want to. But I got some markers. They were retiring. Now we're not carrying them anymore. So they were on the last chance list and discounted. So I got some to use just for flicking like this. I find I get a darker impression when I flick like this than I do if I do this. But this does take a toll on your marker tip. So just be aware of that when you're using it. And then I'm going to come in with some garden green, and I'm going to do the same thing. And you can do this with your blends too if you want to. I just specifically bought these markers for this purpose. And you can see, it's just going to give that background a little bit more texture, a little bit more color to it. And I'm going to grab a little rag here and wipe that ink off. Okay, let's put our card together now. This is an 8.5 by 5.5 piece of Highland Heather. I'm just going to, it's scored at 4 1/4. So I'm just going to fold it and burnish it on that score line. And then if you remember, we stamped this piece for the inside. So I'm going to add a little bit of snail. And your snail works best when you hold it up at this angle. If you hold it straight up, you're going to be able to use it without any problem. And I'm going to make that the inside of my card. And I have a little purple piece that is kind of like a sidewinder. And I actually have embossed it also. So I'm going to put it right on there. So I have a piece that looks like that, and that's going to be the front of our card. And I try to, when I've embossed my cardstock, I try to be sure that I get lots of adhesive on it, because it has all those kinds of little nooks and crannies in it. So I'm just going to add my adhesive all the way around it. And I'm going to put that right on top there. And you can add some dimensionals if you want. I just did not. So we have this piece, and then I have another little piece of purple, my Get Well Soon, and my little flower. So now I'm going to punch my whole flower out. Let's see. That tape I put on there is coming back to haunt me, isn't it? All right, let's get this out. Oh, dang, I shouldn't have put that tape back there, should I? I'm just going to go like this and cut around it. And it is a pretty easy cut because it is die cut. So the only thing really holding it there is my tape. That Scotch tape I put back there. There we go. And I am going to put this one, I think I'm going to put the flower on dimensionals. Wow. if we can get it out of here. Here we go. There had to be a better way to do that, right? If you know what it is, leave me a comment. And next time it will go quicker. Especially after just putting all those pieces together, but it looks like it's going to work this way. And I think that sticky paper will help to hold it together too. So actually I'm just cutting right around that frame. Oh, and I lost my that little purple piece came right off that sticky backing. But we'll get it right back on there. I think the trick is going to be that you're going to have to keep that sticky background on it. Okay. So let's grab some dimensionals here. And I think, again, I'm going to use these mini dimensionals. And I have a pit that's just kind of got the edges to it. So that's what I'm going to use, are these edges. And cut them up. And this little skinny side is going to be perfect for these stems, or leaves, I should say. There we go. I'm going to cut just one more for that top piece. Okay, so now we've got our flower and our little, that's sticking out just a hair and it will really bug me, so I'm going to get it off there. So I'm going to put this on this nice little background piece. Like that, I think. Isn't it pretty? I like it. Okay, so let's put this purple piece down. And I'm going to give this kind of a, as my mother would say, kitty wampus look. Like this. And then I'm going to put this one, again, I'm going to use dimensionals on it. Let's get fancy. We got them here. They're already cut. Let's get rid of that. How about it? And this piece I'll put straight on. Like this. That was not very straight on. Go. And I'm going to do the same thing and put this on with some dimensionals. Just a little from the side here. And I never waste any of my dimensionals. Always use those little side pieces. And I am going to take this and just forget about this piece of twine we colored. I'm going to take that. And I'm just going to kind of wrap it around. And I think I've left enough space here so I can actually wrap once and go big. So I'm just gonna do some loops. You can actually tie a bow with it if you want, and put your bow on there. Either way works. Just find a way that's good for you, that you like. I'm gonna make that one a little smaller there. And I'm gonna put this down here. Put a little bit more. There. Because we don't want it collapsing on this end. All right. I think I'll come right down to the bottom of that. I want that just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so that is card number 2. And I'm gonna just trim that bow. I will do that later. And here's the one that, oh, I forgot my gems on it. Let's bring those bad boys in here. I love these. They're holographic gems, and they are so pretty. I'm gonna go off of this and put them there. I love to do 2 of the different sizes together. This one I'm gonna come down and just put kind of right by my words. There we go. All right, so that's our swirly set, and it is actually called Swirled Designs. Okay, I've got 2. Got myself cleaned up just for a second here. I start throwing my stuff all over. We're going to use one of my favorite ones, which is called the Friendly Foliage. And it's not nearly as picky as this one was with getting those designs in there. And there are lots of designs. This was probably the hardest one to use with that set, just because of all the paper piecing. But I thought it was just such a cool technique that I had to show it to you. But it is a little pickier technique, so. All right, let's get cleaned up a little bit. I'm actually gonna take a little peek and see if there's anybody here or commenting. Oh, Debbie Reynolds is here, Drew's here, Rachel's here. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to see you. Drew, I'm gonna actually, Novel is the bookstore, yes. You're right, Rachel. Drew, when I'm done on here, I'm gonna pop on to our little Zoom. So I might be a little late, so hang with me here till we get there. Drew and I are planning a retreat at the end of this month. So we have a Zoom at 7, and we're gonna get all ready to go for you guys. I'm excited about it. And I know she is too. A novel and it's a novel and a sandwich shop, I think it's called. But wonderful, wonderful little bookstore downtown Rochester. If you live in this area, you have to try it. They have great sandwiches and little nooks to read your books in. And so we're going to be using the Lasting Linen stamp set for this one. This is one of my favorite online exclusives because I just love that background. And then this is the Friendly Foliage stamp set and dies. These dies are what got me with this one because you can use them separately or you can paper piece them if you want to. But they're very cool. So we're going to be using I want to say Pretty in Pink, but that's not it. It is Petal Pink for this one. So if you've got a card kit, it is going to include all of these little things in it. This is the piece you are going to stamp on. The piece with the notched corner, for those of you who got the kit to go, the piece with the notched corner is the one you're going to stamp on. Okay? And this piece is going to go on the inside of your card on this piece. I'm going to put those pieces together first. That one's going to get our words. There we go. I always try and do an insert for my card. One of my customers in downline says, every card needs a white inside, and I think she's right. I like to coordinate my inside so it matches the outside, and my envelopes too. There is nothing Stampin' Up! Does better than coordination. They do color coordination, product coordination with their accessories, their stamp sets and dies, their stamp sets and punches, their bundle coordination. All of it is just amazing. So I like to keep it going and do that same coordination on my inside and my envelope. So this is your DSP, and it is 5 1/4 by 4. And I'm just going to put some Stampin' Seal on there and put it on the front. And again, these are all petal pink, which I think is just a really soft, kind of gentle feel to it. And I love this DSP because it kind of looks like a painted little speckled background on it. This one we are going to take a, I'm going to get all my pieces out of the way here. I know I'm going to lose some if I don't. So I'm going to stamp up my linen background stamp. This is a big stamp, and when I use a big stamp, I want to ink it face up like that, and I'm going to use my basic beige. I'm going to ink the whole thing. And with this one, it really doesn't, if you have some uneven spots, it's not going to matter because this is kind of one of those stamps that I think is kind of unique if you use it in a little bit of a different way. So I'm just going to stamp this on there. It doesn't have to be exact. You don't have to do the same amount of pressure. If you have a piece of scrap paper, that will work for this little, so you don't get ink all over your fingers. If I didn't happen to have one. Isn't that a great background, you guys? I just love it. And you can see what I mean. I don't have, there's kind of like uneven spots, and I don't even care about it because I want it to look kind of artsy and fresh. Okay, so let's get our pieces together here. This one's gonna line up on there. And then this is a piece of our two-tone cardstock. So they call it two-tone because it is actually two-tone. So you can decide if you want the lighter or the darker side. I am actually going to use the lighter side, and I'm going to take my sanding block and come in, see if I can find a clean side to it, and just distress it. And this is a white core paper, so you're going to be able to see that white edge to it. And again, I'm going to do some spots in farther, some spots out. I want it to have that kind of vintage, distressed look to it. It's kind of like, some of you probably think that's the nail on the chalkboard sound that it's making, right? Okay. When I was visiting Drew last time, she said to me she's getting up with this really congested head feeling. And I, for some reason, have had that this past like month and a half, I think. So I have to chat with her about it, see if she passed that on to me. Okay, so there we go. Those are going to be our pieces. And I have a little piece here that I am going to stamp on. Here we go. And again, I'm going to lay it straight on my glass mat. And that's going to help me get my words straight. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna bring in this. Look at a fly in here in the middle of winter. What's that? It's snowing outside. We had 2 inches of snow today, and I got a fly in my house. Only in Michigan, you guys. All right. So I'm going to put this right in the middle here. Make sure I get a good coverage. I'm going to go. Okay. So now this one has some tricky dies. And that is not their official name. They're not called tricky dies. They're called layering dies. They're layering dies because they layer inside of one another. And I can use this die to cut this out. And it's going to line up perfectly because Stampin' Up! Coordinates everything, right? So that's going to work perfectly, but I'm going to be left with all this vanilla cardstock in the middle, which I truly am not that big of a fan of. So I'm going to lay that on there, and I'm going to grab a little piece of Post-it tape and just tape that on there. And then I'm going to take this piece, and you're probably looking at this going, oh my, that's a funky little die. And it is a funky little die, but it's going to fit right inside of here. So you're going to be able to cut out all of those vanilla pieces that are in there. So I am going to tape these dies. This is Post-it tape, and it comes in all different sizes and widths and all the good stuff. It will hold these together and peel off without taking my stamped image with it. So I'm just going to load this up, line this up, and put my Post-it tape on there. And then I am going to, you want to be sure that you get it taped down to your paper. Really, so that when you pick it up, it doesn't move. There we go. That one will really hold it. So then I'm going to grab my little machine. And I'm going to cut this. This is video, you guys. My live will usually not run more than an hour. I'm not sure what my problem was today. The paper piecing, not bringing things to my table. Could have been a number of things with the way I'm working tonight, but all is good. There we go. And these cards are beautiful, so it's worth the effort. Oh, there we go. And we'll pop that off, and we are almost done. And you can save these little Post-it notes and use them over and over again. And the twine I'm going to use on this one is from our natural twine pack. And I think there's like 5 spools of twine in there. Isn't it gorgeous, you guys? Look how pretty that turned out. I think it's so beautiful. It has 5 spools of twine, so you can kind of pick the one that you like the best. So let's layer these up. I'm going to do flat. I'm going to do flat, flat, and then dimensionals. So there's my very vanilla. And then I'm going to put my linen on here. And then I'm going to take my two-tone and I'm going to add some dimensionals to the back of that. And again, you can pick the darker side or the lighter side that you want to kind of scruff up or sand to give it that added little bit of texture. I picked the lighter side. I don't know why, but I just did. There we go. And then we're going to put this one down. And again, you could put dimensionals behind it if you want, but I'm just going to add some stamp and seal to it. Put that right in the middle. And I'm going to trim this little piece at just a little bit of an angle on both ends. And I'm going to put it on this little piece of Petal Pink. Petal Pink, I think, is kind of almost peachy. It's like a peachy pink, I think. There we go. And when you get a kit to go, your little bow is already tied for you. So I'm going to put this on flat on one side, but then I am going to add a dimensional just because I added it here. So I want my end to be flush with that. Yeah, and let's see. I think I'm going to go kind of in the middle there. Yeah, and here's my little bow with our twine pack. And I'm going to put it right there with a little glue dot. Just get that. There we go. And then I have some little pink faceted gems here. And these they're all the same size. I'm just going to kind of scatter them around. They do say that you should put your accessories in kind of a triangle shape. So I'm going to make that the bottom part of my triangle and this one the top. And go right in here, I think. Kind of right in that corner. There we go. All right, so this is card number 3. And this, again, is my Embrace the Exclusives class. Okay, let me just pop on and see if everybody's okay on here. And then I will say goodbye, and I will be back next Tuesday, you guys, at noon. So I'll be a Tuesday lunchtime live. Until then, you guys have a great weekend. And we'll just pop these back on here for you real quick. So you can see them. And this one. So you have these 3 beauties. Okay, you guys, thanks so much for joining me. And I will see you next week. Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.